you doing today? Welcome to Car. I was going to get a green poster board and do like green screen, but I forgot. So anyways, this is my face. So you can see how serious I am in my expressionate face as I talk shit about the bad characters and tell you how good the good ones are. We haven't done the tier list in forever. So our tier list is changing. Meta is changing. People are coming out with new units for Guild Wars, all of that. New units have come out. So it's time to update the tier list, okay? Now, units we don't ever see in PvP, I'm not putting them in there yet. So if you want to build someone like Murphy for Guild Wars or something and see them on a tier list, build them, send clips to the Discord, link in description for Discord, join, post it, and then we can gauge whether or not he should be on our tier list or not, right? And no, not everybody's going on the list. It is PvP tier list. I'm not doing separate offense, separate defense. I know that would make sense. It's too much work for one person. Not doing it. So let's go over some of the people that are still on our list too. We'll go down the list one at a time. Evelyn. We see Evelyn carry people all the time in Irina. She has an extremely long range. She has a kit that is pretty much, dedicated towards sniping people at a long range, sleeping them, and then she gets like additional turns. Which one is it? Like right here. Increase attack bar by 400. Holy cow. She just gets to snipe you from very far away. Her rage skill can do a lot of damage, Very, very good. Carries people in the arena. Also, we're starting to see her make a comeback too in Guild Wars Donut Stage. Because on Donut Stage, you have all that range, and getting to her on the other side of the donut, she will be sniping you from a long way. She gets to stay where she is now. Right now, she's in S. She'll stay in S. Bothwell. We've seen him carry a few teams to the #1 slot in Arena, right? He also has Provoke. Provoke being debatably one of the strongest status ailments out right now. Plus, with the new Guild Wars stages, there are like tight-knit arenas. There's like a small arena. He's very good for that one. I don't think he really needs to be in S, because if we put him in S, we would have to put Magnus, who does like his job better, in like a double S. And we don't have a double S, so he will probably be sitting in A. Where is he right now? B? We'll bring him up to A. Madeline has absolutely taken over the PvP scene. The range on her third skill, where she pulls everybody into a closer range, is humongous. She also got a buff now that whenever she uses that and gives allies super armor, they can no longer be crowd controlled movement-wise. So if someone has super armor, you're not pushing them back. She also gives allies increased defense now. Very, very good. Very, very strong support for your entire team. Pretty much running meta, along with... She's in competition with Magnus right now, but Provoke is just too strong. But she will stay S. She gets to stay in the S. Chapman. Now, there's a lot of units climbing to the top of Arena right now with Chapman. Using like this bruisery team that just revolves around like having Tarak, a lot of, damage dealers, and then Lakshmi to help people stay alive. And Chapman is on those teams. From my perspective, from my point of view, anytime I fight a Chapman, he's on one of those teams. I very seldom see Chapman carrying, He needs to be God built to be carrying, and at that point, if you have your God equips on him, if you would have put them on Fairies, the game would have been over with one ability. So yes, he's still very good. He's not quite an S. He can stay in A. He does a tremendous amount of damage. He's also useful in Guild Wars stages, like the small stage. Very, very good there, but not quite S material. Very good, well-rounded unit, like good for beginners, good for late game, all that. He will stay in the A slot. Anton, where he used to be S and now he's a B. Like, again, he might stay B, he might go down to C. I never see this guy. Like, I've seen him a couple times, and I'm not gonna lie, his multipliers suck. For being a dealer, and supposed to be like a damage dealer or whatever, let's look. Not even 90% on that one, 102% on that one, 23% 6 times. Where do we look? Like 130%. The multipliers are just really, really bad. And while he does have good status ailments and like a lot of, he can defense break, he can blind, he can do all that, he just doesn't do enough damage. I've literally 1v1'd him with the Tala. And like a dealer getting up close to a Tala, that he should have won. Like, this dude is super underwhelming, unfortunately. While I would say he should stay in B, the multipliers are just so bad. Every time I see him, he super underperforms. We'll bring him down to C because I think we'll be putting a few more characters in B that would end up knocking him out of that spot. Trevor! Oh my god! In every game, he's a beast. Okay. So, he is self-buffing, increases his own attack, his own crit rate, increases his own attack bar, A lot of his abilities do, like, a lot of extra things. Increase crit rate, increase on attack. They're all multi-hits. The multipliers are huge. This is 150% multiplier, 120% on skill 1, 150% on skill 3. Increase attack bar by 100 when you land a crit. It hits 5 times. He can increase his attack bar by 500 with this one ability. And then he goes again and kills somebody. And then he gets his rage skill. And he uses his rage skill to kill more people. And his rage skill increases his attack bar. What is his card? Fully recovers its attack bar with a 7% chance when you're attacked. He's just like going and going and going and going and going. He's insane. He is insane. He goes up to S. Where is he right now? He's in S. He stays in S, okay? He stays there. Robin, people say he's making a comeback, okay? Now, this used to be a community-driven tier list before I realized people in the community are way too emotional. You know, you get attached to your favorite characters and sentimental about them, and then you start to think that they're better than they are. And I think Robin's one of those characters. He's definitely not as good as people say he is. Anytime I fight him, it's the same thing with Chapman, except on an even lower scale, because at least Chapman is ranged and he can defense break. Like, this guy doesn't do anything. He really doesn't. People are building him now saying, oh man, he's on the rise. He actually is pretty good. I haven't seen it. I've fought him a bunch of times. Every time he's just one shot dead. Like 110%. It has bonus when attacking if they're blind, but you have to blind them first to get the bonus. His multipliers are pretty good, actually. I'll say that. I'll say his multipliers are okay. Maybe it's just my comp is the reason that he doesn't perform well, because my comp might counter him. I don't really think so, but you know what? Let's go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt, actually. Maybe, because those multipliers are pretty freaking sweet. We got 160% here. This is like 170. This one's 140. This one's like almost 180. I mean, they're not insane, but I mean, they're not garbage. Maybe we could put them up to B. Not A yet. Not A yet. Start on B. Marissa, are we past the hype yet? I feel like I see her all the freaking time in Guild Wars, in arena battles. She has never like really carried an enemy team against me. I don't know really. I've used her too. She hasn't really carried me as a player whenever I have really good equips on her. I'm not sure. She does have some pretty good multipliers. She does do some pretty good damage. She does have a defense break, but again, I think she used to be S and we dropped her down to A, and I think that's where she should stay, because she's like right on that border of like, she does have a good kit. She does do a lot of damage, but that's kind of all she does, you know? She doesn't have any like, wow, crazy bonus effects, any crazy gimmicks or anything. She's just like, hey, I'm Marissa, I do a lot of damage. And I think that's sort of A unit material. Tala is making a little bit of a rise, okay? And I'll let you, it's because of Guild Wars, okay? She's good in practically every stage. In a melee stage, she can do an area of effect immobilization to stop the melee from being so strong in those stages. She's like the counter for that entire stage. In the donut stage, she can snipe from all the way across the donut if that is skilled up. She has a very, very long range. On top of that, she has the support capabilities with the crit rate buff. Her multipliers are freaking insane. 120%, this goes way, way higher. It says increases, the damage increases the further the distance. So the damage increases by a lot. This is like 200% multiplier, honestly. Second skill, 155% multiplier. It is also does very good, you know, area of effect range. This crit rate buff is 40% crit rate, and she can increase her own attack speed with it. So if you get like all of your guild members with this, that's 3 allies with crit rate buff. That's 120% crit rate you did not have to put into a build. In the arena, if you get all 5 members, that's 200% crit rate you did not have to put into your build. That is God mode. That is like way too strong. Every other game that has crit rate buff, it's 30%. Hers is 40%. I think she deserves to be in an S slot. Like, let's be real. She brings so much to the table. She really should be in the S. Scarlett, one of those units that if someone really likes her and you say she's not that good, they kind of lose their mind. But again, she's like a support ranger, really, because her multipliers are terrible. 48% like bad. 140% is not that good. This one, 57%. This one is terrible. The only thing she's got going for her is she can remove beneficial effects with a rage skill if she gets her rage skill. The rage skill does insane damage. If she gets the rage skill off, you can definitely say, sure, rage skill can do some pretty intense damage. This one, you know, she's there for defense break on it, only hits 2 people. Immovable, Tala does immovable. Attack break, the geometry of that skill is just kind of random. Where is she right now? We have her in A. Is she, be honest with me, is she an A because people that built her and like her flip out whenever you say she's not A? Let's be real. She's B, right? She's a B. Like, she doesn't, there's no way Scarlett has carried somebody in PvP. She's not that good for any of the stages, really. Not better than any other unit for, like, other Guild War stages. She's just gonna be a B. That's just all there is to it. She's a B. Robert is now going on our list. He is making a debut. We have seen Robert now in some intense Guild War battles. So that donut, right? If you're all the way on the left of the donut and Robert's all the way on the right of the donut, you know his robot cast? He puts the robot at his feet, right? And the robot goes all the way around the donut to you. And then that has path blocking. You have to move around the robot to get to him. I was soloed by this freaking guy. I could not get around his robots. I couldn't. He just tore me up. It was like a 3v3 Guild War on the donut stage. I took care of his other two units, no problem, because they're moving towards you. He stays still. He doesn't have to move towards you at all. He puts the robot on his feet. They go, and they just track you down. It's insane. He's so good. He is so good for that donut stage. But I think that's like really, maybe the donut stage, maybe in the regular arena too, if we start seeing him be built. But I don't think he's going to be able to, you know, own up to the combos of Magnus combo, of the Madeline Ziv combo. There, I don't think he'll shine. He really, really shines at that. He is a god in that donut stage. Everywhere else, he's kind of mediocre. Let's average it out, right? Let's go ahead. He should be an A. Because that donut stage, wow. Never, ever did I think a Robert would 1v3 my entire team. That's insane. Maria is on our list as an A because in the past, she was used in some arena teams to get people in the top 3 of arena on some of the resets. Thing is, it's not her doing that. It was definitely the rest of the team and Magnus carrying her to do that because she does bring a lot of cool, you know, stuff to the table, right? Let's see. She does, she's one of the only people that puts unenhanceable. Okay, she also has like a lot of strip. She has increased attack bar. She has a cleanse. That her rage skill is a cleanse. She brings a lot of support. She brings heals as well. She brings unenhanceable, all that. But she's like, I don't know. It's not really something that's ever carried somebody in the arena versus me. If you use her and you're one of those people that use her and she's like way better than I think, let me know. But again, like I've seen her a lot lately. And any team I see her in, I can just trash her. She's just like not that, I don't know, like the kit's like Anton, right? His kit seems God mode, but whenever you get to the application phase, it's not that good. I feel like it's the same thing with her, right? The kit seems God mode, but once you actually start using her and stuff or start fighting her in defense, she's not really that good. So let's pop her down to B. Nema. Now, we hadn't put Nema on it yet, right? We hadn't put Nema on the list because as we were like gauging how good Nema was, then Prince came out. We had to gauge how good Prince came out. But then after Prince came out, Guild Wars came out. And the thing is, she's not that good in Guild Wars, okay? The more enemies that are on the stage, the better she does. So like in the arena, she's God tier. Her passive alone, increasing the attack bar of your entire team, is God mode. But whenever you get to the 3v3 battles in guild battles, that every role of your character starts to count a little bit more. Every move you make matters there. You can't just like have one support who's just there for a passive, who has the condition of her usefulness is based off of how many enemies are on the field, because at that point there's only 3. She would have definitely been an S in the arena if it was just arena. But now with Guild Wars, I'd say she's like as low as a B. We'll put her the highest A she could possibly be. It really sucks because I wanted her to be an S, but she's just going to be an A. I don't have an icon for her. She's A, whatever. I don't have an icon. Now Prince, okay? Prince is one of our newest units. We're getting used to them still. Something I've learned that I don't think a lot of people know. Well, first of all, they came out with a ton of bugs. Bugs left and right, like stuff wasn't working. They're working on fixing it. We're going to judge her based on what her kit should be doing, right? The rage skill is like Kindred's ultimate in League of Legends, where if you're inside of the ring, you don't die. The problem is you can pull them out of the ring. I've had her use it, where she uses the skill and her team is in the ring. So I use Madeline's third skill and pull them out of the ring, and then they just die. Like, I guess it depends on the comp. The debuff that stops healing, heal reverse, that's pretty dependent on the team that you're using. one of those things in Arena, if you're fighting a Lakshmi or something, yeah, that could be insane. In guild wars, in guild battles, if the enemy team doesn't have a healer, it's pointless. She's like a pointless unit. She's not doing anything at that point. If you don't have a healer on your team, she's really dependent on composition. So not quite S, right? Too dependent on too many factors. Enemy needs to have a healer for that skill to even be effective. If they have someone that can crowd control, she can just get pulled out of the ring. That being said, you could just move away from the ring and wait on, she's not like going to heal herself. Just move out of the ring, move away, and then she has to come get you. She'll move out of the ring herself, and then you just, I don't know, man. There's too much RNG, not RNG. There's too many factors involved in whether or not she was a good pick for the fight. So she'll sit in a low A. No icon, low A. Again, no icon. We don't have icons for these new guys yet. Popo, actually, Popo is getting a little bit more love now, right? Because his damage ignore isn't technically a heal. So you can totally bring him against Prince. Prince isn't going to counter that damage ignore. He can be very annoying with removing beneficial effects. He does equally well, I think, he does equally well in Guild Wars as he does in regular Arena. You know, he is an A right now, but I think we should move him a little bit higher on the A chart because, you know, he removes beneficial effects from the enemy, he removes harmful effects from your team, puts on damage ignore on your team. He just brings a lot to the table, and there's definitely been a few times where he has cost me the whole game. So not quite S, I don't think, yet. But we'll definitely move him higher on the A list. Magnus, we don't need to go over this. This is like the most highly debated unit on whether or not they should be nerfed, and that alone is just saying that he's an S. Like, he's so good that literally I have a whole video on him. I have a whole video on how to not nerf him because it would ruin, like, all of the resources and stuff that people put into building him because he's so OP. But, like, on how to buff other things. Like, we're looking at buffing other things so that he doesn't look that strong, you know? Like, he stays where he is. He's an S. For anyone that doesn't know, or this is like you didn't see the previous tier list, the provoke, right? He can just, basically, if he uses the provoke, you might as well put your phone down because you're not in control of the battle anymore. It turns into an auto match. So, yes, that is very, very good. Nadine, my poor girl Nadine, man. I love her so much. She's just underperforming. She needs so many stats. She needs accuracy, resistance, HP, defense. Her scaling is still based off attack. You know, she's mostly single target except for the first kill. She's not carrying anybody, let's be real. I've had her, like, tried to pump her up in every other way. I've tried to make her tank, tried to make her bruiser, everything, just nothing works, man. I don't know what it is, but C, I mean, at this point, she's looking at D. Like, it sucks for me to say, because that's definitely my favorite character in the game, but she's looking at D, for PvP especially right now. Iron is getting scarier with time, okay? The more people that build Iron, the more he starts, like, getting better and better stats. People are, like, making him stronger and stronger. He's getting his legendary exclusives, his SSR cards promoted to +9. The more work you put into him, the more scary this guy is. He turns into a god on the battlefield, and he really will carry an entire team. Like, absolutely, especially even in 3v3s. You know, damage ignore in the arena, at least you have a little bit of leeway. You have 5 people there trying to take off damage ignore, right? It's so harder. It's so much harder to do. In guild battles, it's only 3v3s. He's going up. Maybe not S, but high A. Definitely. High multipliers, high damage, self-damage ignore, does stuns, does defense break, increases his own attack speed. This guy is getting a little nuts. The more people start to build him, the more people are realizing this guy can kind of be a beast. You know, let's pop him in the A. Hey, Kairos, like, has he ever carried a team by himself? When you think of Kairos, you automatically think of Nakari, because they're like hand in hand, right? Nakari makes Kairos 10 times better. Kairos by himself is just like, why is this Kairos there with no Nakari? Being so reliant on a Nakari, and then in guild battles, if it's a 3v3, having to bring Kairos means having to bring Nakari if you want to get the full use out of their kits. I mean, that's the way it is. And then you only have one more slot to fill. You know, it's like, it's kind of a pretty big requirement for a unit to perform at their top performance, to need another unit on the team, like specifically another specific unit on the team. That's kind of trash. Maybe he belongs in the B. I think, you know, his multipliers are okay. He does do the poisons. You know, this one, what is it? Almost 140%. 80%. The multipliers aren't even that good. What am I saying? It's okay. It's really not. People just have him built with like their best equipments. But trust me, if you put those equipments on someone else that's fully built like your Kairos is, they're going to be outperforming them. I promise, especially if you don't have Nakari. Let's move him down. He'll be like the highest B he can be. Okay, work with me, man. He cannot, like, we won't put him all the way at the lowest into the spectrum on B, but he's a B. Come on, by himself, he's a B. Econ. Now, so, like, there's a couple things about Econ. One, he's only good on one stage. He's good on the small, tight-knit melee stage. In the arena, his movement range is tiny. He has, like, one of the lowest movement ranges in the game. His AI... His entire kit revolves around getting his clone out, which is the second skill. His AI doesn't always put that out. It doesn't prioritize the second skill every time. So, like, in order for him to be good, you have to have him on the offense, and then you have to have him on a small stage where he can easily reach people. You can move away, like, you can kill the clone easily. He's kind of squishy. You could kill him. Any unit that you have to use an ability first to start getting things rolling is not that good of a unit, because... everything's about speed right now. You know, it's a big thing. Turn 1 meta, either turn 1 provoke, turn 1 nuke, turn 1 whatever. So him being a requirement to take 2 turns before he even starts, like, making useful damage out of his kit, not that good, man. Might have to be looking at a C for Econ. Hey, Tarak, alright, I'm sorry, okay? Everybody loves Tarak. I'm sorry. Your Tarak is so good because he was the first banner in the game whenever people were just getting into the game, dropping money, you know, making him your best. That's why he's your best, because you made him your best. He is very good, okay? Don't get me wrong. This first skill, nutty. Hits, can hit a lot of times, does a lot of damage. Second skill, you know, the range on it goes all the way across the map. It's pretty intense. Electric Field is just like a utility ability where, you know, that now there's extra factors that the enemy has to worry about, like being inside of your electric field in order to actually get the full damage off. The rage skill does a lot of damage, but at the same time, man, Tarak isn't carrying people. Your equipments are carrying you that are on your Tarak. If you take your, it's the same thing with like the way I look at damage dealers and stuff, right? If you look at how good your Tarak is, okay, look at how strong he is. Take that equipment and all that work, your +9 card, your legendary exclusive god equipment, all of that. The way I look at it, put it on a Fairies. If they can even match up to the damage of the Fairies, then they should be an S. But honestly, only one of these is an AoE, and that ability isn't even really that good. This one, you know, it does decent damage. It has a very long range, pretty situational. You know, on the donut stage, you're definitely not hitting everybody with that. On the bridge stage, I'll say on the bridge stage, he is a genius pick for the bridge stage. That line goes all the way down the bridge. Having the electric field in a small circle on the bridge is God mode. He can jump all the way across the bridge with his rage skill, but really, anywhere else, if you brought Fairies would just way outperform him. Like, I don't think he deserves to be an S. I think he's an overused unit that people use too much and rely on their equipments that they have on him. If you take your equipments off of him, put them on a fully built Trevor or a fully built Fairies, they would be outperforming the Tarak. I think Tarak is getting carried by your strongest equipments, and he is an A unit. Dislike the video, man. I know. This is about to make so many people mad. But look, dude, the highest A possible, that's not that big a deal. Like, not everybody can be S, you know? S should probably be reserved for God tier units. I don't really think he's a God tier unit, you know? With Examina, we're looking at another one of those highly situational characters. Okay? One of those characters that, one, you need to get her shade out. 2, she needs to be very, very fully built in order to even make use of staying in the shadows, because after a certain amount of turns, she's out of the shadows. So you have to have her ability skilled up to make sure she stays in them. On top of that, you only have to hit her shade 3 times. There's a lot of units like Tarak we were just looking at. If he first skills the shadow, she's out in the open. I think her second skill multiplier is pretty good. Okay, that being said, the range on it... Wait, what skill is it? Third skill. Third skill multiplier is pretty good. The range on it is terrible. You have to be practically in melee range with them. With a ranger. She's a ranger, so she doesn't have that much movement range because she doesn't get the bonus movement range from the abilities. And like, why do you have to be in melee range for Ranger? And then, like, all of her, pretty much her entire kit is based around being in the shadows. It's very easy to take her out of the shadows. I think she's a B. Ziv, people are definitely getting more brave with their Zivs. Using him in stages like on the bridge stage, you can push 2 of them, you know, together just like that. If you confuse somebody with them, then they'll be first skilling for you. Third skill has a huge range, you know, pull them all into a group, combo them. That's what people are doing now. He's an extremely combo-like character. Pull them into a group and then AoE with Fairies. Have Magnus provoke everybody and then have him pull them all into a group so you can do whatever you got to do. Like, he does have a good kit. His second skill also absorbs Rage Bar, and his Rage skill can do a lot of interrupts at one time. He's another one of those units that's like carrying people to the top 50 in Arena. He can also be very good in the Guild Wars. Those stages he can perform pretty well in those too. Unlike Kairos, how Kairos is dependent on Nakari, like one character, he's also dependent on other characters to help make use of his kit because he doesn't do a lot of damage by himself. He's not carrying you by himself. But there's a lot of units you can bring with him, right? It's not just one. You could bring Fairies, you could bring Amy, you could bring Magnus, you could bring Madeline, you could bring a ton of people that he helps benefit. I think he'll stay in the A or possibly be the lowest S possible because he's definitely not carrying by himself, but he makes other units that aren't carry units into carry units. So that's intense. Like, he's just a meta. He's like a game changer, man. Like, God, it's hard to explain, right? Like, it's hard to explain how Anton was such a good kit isn't that good. But again, with Ziv, the more you use him, the more you get used to his kit and you start to master his abilities, he really is able to, like, completely carry you in fights that you should not have been able to win, in PvP especially. Maybe the lowest possible S we could get on the stage is going to be Ziv. Amy, man, it kills me to say it. Amy is, like, falling off for me. Like, the only thing I really use her for at this point is, like, a backup group up for the third skill, like a backup AoE cluster ability. And then it stuns sometimes. Takes a crap ton of accuracy to get the stun reliable. Multipliers are bad. Second skill's a bomb. You know, it can be cleansed off. Raid skill, super duper duper good. Raid skill is one of the best raid skills, in my opinion, in the entire game. But I don't think that raid skill alone is enough to put her in a high ranking. And I think, like, the third skill, she is so stat dependent. Like, if you want to build her for nuke, okay, you also need, if you're not worried, if you're just building her straight for nuke and not worried about any status ailments, not the attack break of her rage skill, not the stun, then there's other units that do more damage that are better for that. If you're trying to build her for support, for the stun, she takes so much accuracy. You still have to get her crit rate up there if you want to crit and do decent damage. She's very hard to build. Doesn't really carry you, you know? You can get lucky. That stun can carry you, but it's not like you planned for it to happen, right? If there's 3 enemies and you stun one of them, which is pretty much all you'll get most of the time, or even if they're grouped up, maybe they're not grouped up enough. The range isn't huge. It's kind of small, so she's fallen off for me, and it sucks because I love her, but I think she's looking at a high C. Straight up, I'm not even wasting time. Irina is coming off of S, okay? We've had multiple claims and evidence that even people submitting videos, like her being their favorite character, her being God-built, not even being able to take on underbuilt teams. Like, why is she an S again? I don't know why we put her there. She's definitely not an S. I wouldn't even go as far as to say she's an A. Every time I see her, she's super underwhelming. She doesn't really bring a whole lot to the table except for the freeze. Again, she's probably not getting off the freeze. If you're fighting a Magnus, she gets provoked. That's it. She's first skilling at that point. The area of effects are in geometrical patterns like rectangles, you know, not even circles. You can't really get that good of an angle, you know. If they're all moving forward, they'll probably be in a wedge or a reverse wedge as they move forward. You're only going to get maybe at maximum 3 people with that third skill. Every time I see her in an arena, she's trash. She performs terribly. I don't know what people see in her. She does not belong in S at all. We'll put her in the highest B possible, okay? I don't even think she belongs in A, if I'm being honest. Versus all of these other characters, they've at least impressed me once or twice. Every time I see Irina, I'm disappointed, man. I want her to perform better, and she performs like trash every single time. Now, Nakari, like, even though Kairos is really dependent on Nakari, I don't think Nakari is very dependent on Kairos, except, like, on boss battles, right? Because, like, she puts out a lot of poison that Kairos can take advantage of with his rage skill on bosses, but you do not need to be doing that much damage. You don't need to do 100,000 damage in an arena on one character. It's just like, it's cool that they can do that. She doesn't need Kairos, especially in like the bridge stage. She's God mode. She puts up the plants. You can't move around them. You have to target the plants. Like, what the heck is that? Especially her third skill puts out a row of plants. You can block off an area of the donut. In arena, you know, she does okay in the arena. If you get off her rage skill, wherever your tentacles are, they flap around, you know. She's adding like 6 plants to the field, 5 plants to the field that the enemy now has to move around and take care of, like, and on a separate, completely like adding more obstacles for the enemy to overcome. She's so good. Like, she'll stay in A. As an S, is she really an S? I mean, the poison is more of a PvE ability. Is more of like a PvE status ailment. Like, she can get off a stupid amount of poison, but at the same time, you can only hold a certain amount of debuffs, and you don't need that much poison, to be honest. You really don't. So I think she'll stay in A, but we'll move her a little bit higher on the A list. Fairies is freaking stupid, man. Why ever we brought him down from S, I don't remember, but he's going back up there. Like, he does. You can have the absolute most tanky equipment, build, units in the game. He can one-shot you. He just can. He has so much power. He does so much damage in an area of effect with all of his abilities. This first skill is good for the bridge. Second skill is good for melee stage. Third skill is good for anything. It does good damage even just on a single target. Rage skill, that it all does so much. All of his kit does so much damage. This is who we compare other units to whenever we're like, oh, well, do they do as much damage as Fairies? The answer is always no. Fairies is the #1 damaging unit in the game. No one can possibly do as much damage as Fairies can do, ever. Not even in any case. And not even in a 3v3 can someone do as much damage as Fairies. He goes back up to S. Bannon, I think we're taking off the list. I never ever see this guy. Like, I've seen him maybe twice. I don't ever see Bannon. He has to, we're just taking him off, unfortunately. Christopher's fallen off a little bit too, because his whole gimmick is relying on a rage skill that increases his, revives everybody. He also revives on a rage card that increases his rage bar as an ally dies, while in Arena, or in the Guild Wars, there's only 2 allies to die, so he can't just spam that rage skill over and over, which is exactly what he's good for. Like, his other 3 abilities are just kind of okay. Unrecoverable is okay, he needs accuracy for it. This Expel and Silence is okay, he needs accuracy for it, it doesn't always land. Gravekeeper's Beat, again, it's like, okay, he's just okay. That's all I can say over and over is he's okay. Like, his big selling point is this rage skill, but again, in Guild Wars, it's not as effective as it is in Arena. So let's go ahead and drop him out of the S, put him in the high A. Lakshmi is going to be staying exactly where she is, even in a 3v3. If you get her down to a 2v1 and it's your 2 units versus a Lakshmi, she can out-heal your damage. Like, what? Her cooldowns are so low and she can heal so much that she just, like, is useful anywhere. Even if it's just her, she can heal herself so much that she can stall long enough to keep herself alive and 1v2 2 of your units. How is this possible? I don't know. She stays in S. If there's a healer you need, if heals are what you're lacking, and you need enough heals to keep 4 units alive, no problem. She takes care of that role by herself. That's literally, she's the best healer I've ever seen in, like, any game like this. She does so much. And that's gonna be it, like, for real. Like, who is on this list that we can actually take off? All right, we're taking off Agnes, okay? We never see her, and we're taking off Darcia. Okay, so no one's really in the F right now. Honestly, sorry, Nadine. Nadine's going down to the F. We're gonna move everyone around a little bit to make it, you know, more... Miles is getting taken off the list. We don't see him enough. We're going to move around people on the list right now just to compensate, because there shouldn't be like 10 S and freaking 15 A's and nobody in F. That doesn't make any sense. So let's go ahead and just fix this up a little bit. Push everybody down. I'm not changing the orders now. It might look like I am, but just worry about their ranks, okay? Like, I'm not going to say... Just because their ranks are changing right now doesn't mean that they're, like, any worse than they were before, okay? They're still not good. This is just, like, where it makes sense for them to be. Bothwell only good on 1 stage here. Robert only good on 1 stage here. You know, Chapman's fine. They're all fine right there. They're all fine right there. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this is where we're going to leave it for now, okay? I'm not going to spend forever changing this. There needed to be some people in F. We just had to push a couple people down, okay? It's not that big a deal. Okay, y'all, this is what we're sitting at for tier list now, okay? Now, let's go ahead and say this is community driven. At any point, if you have some proof that you think freaking Amon should be an S tier, record it. Send it to the Discord. Links in the description where? Right there? Am I pointing at it? Look there. Okay? Join the Discord. We have new players, veteran players, and they're alike that like to help each other out. You know, drop a meme. We have fun. Don't be sensitive. No sensitive people in my Discord. Yes, so absolutely, this is updating and changing constantly. This is like the 4th version of it or whatever. So if more information comes, we'll start placing people even better. But for now, this is what we're sitting at. This is our definitive community-driven tier list. And that's going to do it for me today, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.